Do you have any? I mean, you're kind of. Don't get me wrong. You're kind of a beginner too in this business.
Yes, I'm totally.
But you still have your products here, so you have some experience. If there's out there someone who says, "Hey, I want to do this too." I mean, he's telling me no one is stopping me. That's fine. But do you have any beginner tips or just tips to avoid some traps, which are maybe not so obvious?
Don't go into self-publishment before I say that it works. I mean, there is one huge issue. It's the so-called egg and chicken problem, right? So, and maybe this is a good time come to the probably major point of all this is how our communication went with publishers and etc. etc. So the thing is, like, we didn't get bad feedback, you know, like that, sorry, this game is bad, or this game, you know, like, you need to change this, this, that. We literally get no feedback from companies, from publishers. Only couple of them, I can name them even, you know, like this. It was Guns and Gluck, it was Board and Dice, it was, unfortunately, I forget the name, the big Italian publisher, maybe, you know. Probably the biggest one, so you can Google it. Only those, and maybe just a couple of other, they devoted, you know, like they took some time, you know, like to go through the games, to try them out and to get some feedback at least, you know, like.
Okay.
And this is the worst because you are somewhere in the middle of the ocean and you have no idea even if where to go, right? So, and the issue is that really, I mean, like, I don't have very limited experience in that, but as from what we see is like no one really wants to work with you while you haven't published your games before that, right? And how can you do that while no one wants to work with you, right? So you need to break this circle somehow, and there are a couple of ways for that. First is self-publishing. Let's see how it works. This is what we are doing, because this box is no different in terms of the game from the prototype I had less than 1 year ago, right? Okay. But somehow now, like, much more people started to talk to us regarding localization, regarding the co-print, regarding this and that, than even before, you know. Maybe that is because they see that we believe into the product, we can do that, you know, like we did it already, you know, like, and it looks like other games. I mean, so we are not that new to the business. Maybe that makes a role. Maybe it's just because we announced that on BGG, and when you announce something on BGG, you become, you know, like, visible to people. Yes. So maybe if we somehow, you know, like, manage to catch those companies with a prototype, it would work the same. It might be, I don't know this. So maybe this is another thing. Now I think that what we did wrong, we tried to reach, you know, like the biggest publishers that we know, right? So, and obviously they are overwhelmed with submissions. They probably just didn't see our submissions, it could be. So maybe you can try with smaller publishers, you know, like, because many guys that we are working with now are actually, I didn't know about them, and I couldn't know about them while they appeared, you know, like, to me. So this might work. Another possibility how to do that is if someone from already known game designers get you there, right? So unfortunately I cannot reveal the details, but this happened to me, for example, as well. While promoting this game, I met another board game designer who already has good articles, right? So I'm talking about like 60 to 70,000 of copies of one game, right? And he gave me a possibility to meet a big publisher, you know, like, so they got also interested by the game. But, you know, like, again, you know, you cannot simply come to I don't know, to Bruno Faidutti and say like, hey, can you please look at this game and help me a bit? So it also couldn't happen if I didn't, you know, like, post it into the chat, but it might happen under different conditions, you know, like, so. Yeah. And another way is obviously Kickstarter or any other crowdfunding campaign, but neither me nor Alex really like Kickstarter, and I'm explaining why. Maybe it comes a bit from the fear that you fail there. It might be, but for me now, that while it was, you know, like a platform to push like small players who cannot invest much into their products, right, and to find the auditory. Now the concurrency there is that high that you really need to invest something in order just to become visible, because you are not less reaching people, you are competing with other projects for people's money, right? So that means that if you are worse than other projects that appear on Kickstarter, it's not, as I mentioned, it's not only between you and people who want your game, because they select, they cannot endlessly give money for that, right? And you need to approximately to, I mean, I was told that for successful Kickstarter campaign you need around 50,000 euros, you know, like to invest if you want, you know, like to return back. Also those guys who get it for Huskies and it went very well for them, they invested around 5 or 6,000, but it's still something, you know, like for 5-6,000 I already have an edition of my game. Sure. Right.
Also the problem with Kickstarter is nowadays that it's not like it's meant to be. Like in the past, they were like, I'm just one person, I have an idea, but no money, help me. Nowadays, I kid you not, I see big companies who have millions and they're still making a Kickstarter campaign. They can pay it from their own pocket, honestly.
True.
And this also is the fact that, I know this company, I know this IP, here's my money. But then I don't have the money for you. Sorry. Exactly. This is really the worst.
Yes, you need to, even if you don't invest money, you invest a lot of time just to creating a page. You know, like all these pages that are for me useless. You know, like all this stuff. You know, like why not to include everything? I mean, this is a difficult topic. I mean, I don't have successful or failed Kickstarter, so probably I don't have enough experience, you know, like to judge these things. But this is my motivation why we didn't go to Kickstarter, because we really needed to invest it a lot without any evidence again if we succeed. So we decided just why not to create the game. I mean, why not to publish them ourselves then? And by the way, in long term, that when you publish a game with a publisher, you make, you know, like a contract. You find right people, you know, like you make, if you self-publish, you make a distribution chains, you know, like, but when you make a Kickstarter, you don't get anything, and it even doesn't give you a name in most cases, because you can rise in Kickstarter for any game, you know, like, I mean, like no one knows in advance if it's good enough or not while the campaign is successful. I mean, the arts are appealing and this might be enough, you know, like for you to get the Kickstarter, but it doesn't make you know, like a proved good game designer. Not that I'm saying that all the Kickstarter games are bad. There are games really, right? So, and there are also game changers and etc. But it's not that every game that succeeded on Kickstarter makes you know, like enter the market.
Also, Kickstarter campaign doesn't really help you that much, because you have to still quote-unquote self-publish the game anyways. You have an audience who is aware of the product and waiting for the product, but you still have to make it. You know, you get their money, so it's easier for you money-wise, but not really sometimes. But you still have to find the companies who make the cards for you, the boxes and everything. So this, like those projects doesn't go away, just you have a Kickstarter campaign, you know.
Yes, but it solves the most difficult issue with distributing. I mean, as I mentioned, this whole you will manage. I mean, you will. It's difficult, but there is no trick how to do it. And this one, making a board game and selling a board game, there is a trick how to do that. You know, like and you cannot know in advance if you succeed or not. So that's the point.
So, if there is out there some people. I'm sure I am like that. I have a lot of ideas, and I have even one or two prototypes, but they're really, forget them. But what is holding me back is that I'm thinking you have to be a math genius or very mathematical fit to make a board game. Or is this just a cliche? Because like you said before, you have to know how many starting resources the start player gets, and the second player, and the third player. You have to know how many rounds. You just cannot throw it on the wall and see what sticks. So there must be a concept behind it, and this obviously has to do something with mathematics. Are there any programs who help you to figure out the variations, or is it really like, you have to do your math?
Well, you don't need to be a math genius. You need to be algorithmic advanced, let's so to say, right? Because when it comes then like there were some particular mechanics that gave us hard time. I mean, like I was writing my own programs because I'm software engineer, right? So which helped me, like to make all the, for example, correct permutations that I needed in that case, or all this stuff, like. I really wrote a couple of sophisticated programs, like that helped me to count that. However, I mean, in most cases, these are already, like details. The most important part, at the end, the goal of each game is to bring entertainment. And if it is a pure math, most probably it won't succeed. I mean, the algorithms are important, like because they are about more how the game goes on, and this one correlates with the happiness of the people, right, who play it, right. However, the thing is, like when it comes to mathematics, like pure mathematics, right, so that only the games that have no covered information at all, no secret information, like chess, for example. There you need to be a math genius indeed, because otherwise you won't create something that keeps people interested while playing that. But the more secret information you put into the game, the easier it becomes, becomes to so to say, to fool the player. And you will, at the end, you will see that there are not that many particular ways in what players compete to each other. Like if you are not using some agility game, or you are not using associations games like Dixit, or you are not using the bluffing, which I hate, then the only way to keep people playing the game is like to give them to operate with probabilities. And the one who operates with probabilities best, let's say, right, and is not the unluckiest one, wins the game, right? So they kind of have the control over the game, but you need to give them an impression that they have a control of it. Other than that, the game plays itself, You are, just as I mentioned, you do this and this, but you cannot, like know everything. There isn't, and if you create something that there is no like that, then no secret information, then you indeed need to find where exactly people compete, like brain to brain, mind to mind, and this one is extremely difficult, as I think. Well, again, I'm dreaming of creating one someday, but I'm not even trying yet, because this is something I need to first to learn what is gaming about, what brings entertainment to people, like what people compete in when it's not real time, when it's step by step, and you kind of have no limits when it comes to timing.
So 2 more questions, and then we call it a day. How often you play tested this game? Or let's say from the first idea to the final product, how much time did you invest? Like I've read some articles that you have to play test a game like a couple hundred times even. And also those playtestings aren't really funny, because you have to try to break the game to see if it's stable enough. Can you tell us a little bit about this process, because I think that's very interesting.
I mean, I have no idea how many times they playtested. I mean, the big players. I will confess it wasn't 100, maybe something around, but definitely not a couple of hundreds. Right. The thing is, like, it all depends on the complexity of the game and on the mindset that you have in advance. Because, for example, we software engineers, if we do something incorrectly, the same day it comes back to us, like with issues, so we need to fix that. So we're kind of thinking of that in advance, where it fails, like, and where not. So for me, the golden rule is first, like, if I cannot find a theoretical solution for something in the game, for each particular part in my mind, I don't even try to play test it, because I'll see that I know that it won't work, like in practice. When I think everything is okay in my mind, then we play test and we see that it doesn't work. This is normal. This is normal. This is also something that I heard from a publisher, that they made a kind of experiment. They had a meetup with board game designers, kind of designing session, and they came up with the game there, and they published it almost without testing, and they regretted after that, because mathematically everything was perfect there, and it still works till now. But this is not something that is like that players like to do at the end.
Sure.
So apart from trying to break the game, which is kind of easier, like mostly if someone by any chance, most of the issues you uncover in playing like 10 times of it, because mostly the feedback will be the same for after each, right? If you want to fix some edge cases, of course it's good, but we are talking about games that are played 3 or 4 times. I mean, if someone is unlucky enough that he comes into this position, it doesn't mean that statistically all, like 99% of other people will get into the same issue, right? So it's I mean, like, of course, if the game is broken, that's an issue when you find something that, well, it's simply not cool, right? But we could see that games survive after that, even. But if you have something that is still playable, so you have rules for that, but it's just not that cool, I mean, I don't think that this is that bad. I mean, like, under the condition that 99% of everything works fine.
Like, I mean, you can try to break every game, and normally the people don't play like that. And normally my playing groups, when I have someone in the group who is constantly trying to play against the game, almost try to find to break the rules, then he won't be in my group very long, because it's not fun. But with the playtesting, I imagine that you can have a perfectly fine game which is rule-wise perfect, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's fun.
That's true.
And this is also part of play testing, right? That you say, hey, this game is good, but let's see how the people react, because it can be perfectly fine, but there's no spark or anything, right? But I assume you just can find this case out when you really play testing.
Yes, that's true. That's definitely true. But I mean, like this, for this you don't need 100 times or so.
No, obviously not. That's true.
You just try the auditor you want to be a target group. You do it, and I don't know. Just be careful, because this occupation is relatively new, the board game designer, and people sometimes are very excited about like meeting a game designer, and they they like you in advance, and they play the game, and they don't care about the game, like they're excited, they are on your side right away. And then when you go like into the market, it becomes different, right? So definitely try not only with your family, with your friends, with even even because we tried also on small events back in Poland, and it was also extremely good there, but it didn't mean that publisher wanted this game, right? So yes, try as much as possible, and sometimes you can maybe even not uncover that you are a designer or something. Also, there are luckily now many meetups hosted here in Vienna as well, where you can come, you can play with other players. I mean, to have the opinion of other game designers, like sometimes they say, oh well, I made this mistake back in time, be careful of that and that, like so. I
even heard that some designers sent their prototypes to complete strangers over BGG, to some different country, because they don't know you. And so their critics will be honest, brutal honest, maybe.
Not necessarily. I mean, this is the same. I mean, like if they like you in advance, but like it's not doesn't mean that you need to find someone who hates you and hates the game, because like it's also not the point. Like if I want to find. I know many issues in Caton, for example, right? Or I know that Istanbul is kind of broken a bit, like there is one particular strategy that you can abuse, but it doesn't mean that I don't like these games, right? So, and I don't want them to fail, because they are great games in 99%. Also, you can send your game to board game designers and just ask to break it. Again, the board game designer are developers. Board game developers, they do it sometimes for money, sometimes not, but this is their job, to try to break your game, to try to see, like, again, from their experience, if the game is good enough on the market.
One last question, or before the last question, like regarding the playtesting, giving the people some missions for this day, like you don't play it normal like you would, you please try this strategy, you please try this strategy, so you can find, or you get some specific data? Or is it just like, okay, Blade, I watching you, like in an assessment center?
We did it something like that. We did when we were developing the game.
Okay.
At that point, yes, we tried. You tried this strategy, I tried this strategy. Then we both tried this strategy,
Okay.
right? So, but this is something we could do ourselves. Honestly,
Okay.
I mean, no need to abuse other players for that, because you know what you expect and you want to try, like to see if it works or not. This is part of development for me, not of testing. Right?
Okay. Okay.
Now I'm just watching how players play. I mean, it's too late. I mean, to touch something in this particular game, but I hope we will do a second edition maybe of that, or we create an extension for that. And obviously, all the pieces of information are important for me. Or simply when I develop another game, I will know that, right? So anyway, like obviously some I can see that some sessions bring fun, some sessions are less, but it depends really on many factors, on people themselves, on the weather and whatever.
That's true. On the day of the week.
Yes.
Last question: how can we support you as an independent company, so to speak? You are on Instagram, I saw that. Yep. Are there any places we can follow you, or how can we get your games? How can we let you grow?
Right, so true. I mean, you can follow us on Instagram for further projects. This is obviously important for us. Second thing, BGG reviews.
Okay.
This is also, I mean, let's say 10% of people leave their review, and when you have only 1,000 of copies, obviously there is not enough to grow.
Yeah.
And also, yes, spread the word to your friends, hey, there is a game, let's try it out.
Yeah, sure. I will mention your homepage down below in the description of the video, because there are still copies to get, right?
Yes.
Sure, from your homepage. Yes. That's the best way, I assume.
Well, we don't I mean, if you are living in Vienna, don't even try to find the other way. Just reach me directly. I mean, this is the easiest way, and it's more profitable for both of us.
Yeah.
When it comes from other countries, now we also have them in stocks. All right. So when in a couple of online stores, right? So you can simply get it there. Yeah.
And for the people who are fans of my store, I will have some copies here. Maybe you can sign them even.
Oh.
Or we find some solutions, some special versions for you. Thank you very much for the interview. It's getting a little bit longer than I've expected. We are both, I'm sure, tired, but it was very interesting. Leave us a thumbs up and some comments. Maybe you have some follow-up questions. Maybe you can answer them down below in the comments. And yeah, maybe we have a second time, because there are still more questions.
Oh.
So, till next time. Bye.
Bye.